live. So, welcome to Make It Rain with Trevor Crane. Today, I've got an amazing guest. This is the beautiful, the amazing Autumn Way. And we're going to be talking about her brand new book. And we started working together. Hold on. Oh, yeah, let me see if I can get the right slide in there. This is the Autumn. Your new book is called A Leader They Remember. Tell us a little bit about your vision, the dream, what you're trying to make come true. I want to hear about what we're trying to do together.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Trevor. A Leader They Remember is really about creating a workplace better for everybody. My background is I worked at Wells Fargo for 23 years, and I was leading the frontline customer-facing team members. The way I describe it is the lowest paid people in the company that were interacting with their clients every day, bringing the mission of the organization to life. Um, I felt that my job was to create a place where they wanted to be, where they wanted to show up every day.
Hmm.
I had incredible leaders along the way that did that for me, that created a sense of belonging for me, a sense that I mattered, a sense that I was important to them and to what they were trying to achieve. And so I was really loyal and I worked hard and I gave my heart to them and to my team, to my leaders. And so I want to help organizations figure out how to do the same. Because we
Hold on,
spend,
I'm noticing here. I'm thinking that you've got a setup here. So here you're working your ass off with what you're talking about, but are you about to tell me a story that your heart was there and something not so awesome happened?
well, I mean, I was there for 23 years. There's a lot that happens during that time.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, there was definitely really hard times. And the reason why I continued to show up every day was I wanted to make my team proud to work for me. I wanted to make my team proud to work for the organization. And I didn't want to let my boss down. And creating an environment where your people don't want to let you as their leader down, is a special place where they give a little extra when it's hard and they still show up. And when we are in the workplace for the majority of our awake time, I believe that as leaders, we owe it to the people that are coming in every day to honor that. And the way that we do that is by loving them and by valuing their contributions, by creating a place where they also feel seen and important. And when it gets hard, whether it's a personal hard or it's a work hard, you still show up. And that's what organizations need to continue to grow, to be successful, to thrive. If your people don't want to be there and it's easy for them to call out when things get hard or to quit, it's really hard for an organization to be sustainable. If you would like a specific example of when it was really hard, we
Well, so the vision here is you're launching the book,
yeah
um, A Leader They Remember, and you and I talked a little bit about, I'm trying to get that up again. You and I we're talking a little bit about your mission. Like I want, before we get into the exact stories, and that's going to be important, because I want to know where this came from and your passion around it, the 23 years with this organization and who you're working with and why I think is
yeah
important. But what is the mission that you have, and whether or not, I know we talked about it the other day, but if that's still in line with what your vision is now.
yeah. Oh, hi, sweet girl.
This
Uh,
is Sage, by the way. So,
hi,
Sage,
Sage.
we're in the middle of a live podcast here. This is Autumn. Have you met Autumn yet?
Oh,
Oh, well, this is Sage. She's a 5-year-old best-selling author. And Autumn,
congratulations! Is this the unicorn?
yes, well, are you wearing a unicorn shirt today? What is the name of your book, Sage?
Unicorn-tastic tea party.
Tea Party, the Unicorn-tastic Tea Party.
I ordered mine.
Yes.
I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, it should. Well, I'm looking if we have one on our shelf right here. Sage, you should go get one of your books so we can show it off. You don't know where they are?
Daddy, I don't know where my checklist is.
You know where your checklist is? Well,
Hmm.
I'm in the middle of a live show with Autumn, so can you figure that out on your own? Because I want to make sure I get back to this amazing show. Yeah. If you want to come back, you can bring your book and say hi, but you need to figure that out on your own, okay?
Bye,
Thank you.
Sage.
Bye, Sage. Yeah, Autumn, you know this, but I decided that if my kids come in, I'm going to interrupt everything. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I love it.
Um,
That's what you get to do when you have your own business and you
well,
make your work around your life. That's the goal.
well, it is. I mean, that's how I want to live. And I don't understand what it's like to live in the organization that doesn't have that type of flexibility because I've been
Yeah.
worked for myself for a long, long time. And I've decided to create the culture and environment that I want in my own house, doing my own things. And that's my mission of how I want to be. And I'm going to unapologetically let her back in here to interrupt us. At one point, I'll kick her out finally. So let's go ahead and use that as the catalyst for the mission that you have for why this book and what does that mean to the organization?
Yeah. So why don't I start with like how did the book come to be? Because
Okay.
that'll give you a little bit of an understanding of kind of who I am and why I think this is really important. So, after I was laid off a few years ago, I started a People Possibility co-founder. I had a friend that we were doing it together, and then she started doing something else, and so it came to be that it's just mine. But I was out in the community a lot, doing a ton of networking, which if I had to say, like, why are we here on this earth? I really think it's about making connections with people and having the opportunity to be in the community and introducing myself, introducing my business. A lot of what would come about is, what I want to do is help make the workplace better. I want to make it a place where people want to be because we spend the majority of our awake time there. And what I did before when I worked at Wells Fargo for 23 years, it's kind of like my introduction when I'd meet people. And I was getting this response back of, oh, I'm sorry. Or, gosh, why did you stay there that long? Obviously, if people have been around for the last several years, we had a pretty visible sales practice lawsuit that happened. And so the reputation of Wells Fargo isn't quite what it used to be. And as people would say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or kind of have a look of like, "Why would you stay there that long?" I just felt like I wanted to tell a different story. There's a really different story about Wells Fargo. There's a reason why people stayed there for as long as they did.
I
And
don't understand the I'm sorry thing.
well, I
Who
think
who said I'm sorry when?
a number of people, like when I would just tell people that I worked at Wells Fargo, out in the community or meeting
Hold
people.
on. People like that didn't work for Wells Fargo
Hmm.
would just hear that you worked someplace for 20 years and they said I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, again, I think it goes back to the narrative that was told after the lawsuit that was very visible.
Ah, got it. Because of lawsuit. Okay, I'm losing that. So because of
Yeah.
the lawsuit, see, I don't care what other people think. So I'm like, why would it? So,
Yeah.
they had an interpretation of what it meant to work at Wells Fargo, and
Yeah.
they're like, I'm sorry you were in that yucky environment, and you're like, it wasn't yucky for me. Got it.
You got it. You got
Okay.
it. That's it. And so when I started thinking about writing this book, it's really about kind of changing the narrative and honoring all the leaders that I had that helped shape who I am today. And I started when I was 21. And if you take me from when I was 21 to when I left at 44, 45, um, literally who I am was shaped through the leaders and the experiences that I had at Wells Fargo.
Okay.
And I just felt that there's a different story to tell about how amazing it was because of the leaders. And that's really where you get to the book to say like people show up because of how they're treated, how they feel working for a specific person or a group of people and with other people. And if you have worked for a leader that you trusted and that you knew truly cared about you, um, you stay when it gets hard. You put in the extra effort. You are a little more loyal and you I don't want to say you tolerate more, but to a certain degree, you give more grace is really what it is. So if things aren't exactly the way you want it to be, you give a little more grace to the leaders, and because you know that at the end of the day, they truly care about you as a person and not just about the results that you're delivering. And for me, the book started as I want a redemption. I want to give a redemption story about Wells Fargo and change the narrative and primarily tell a story about the leaders that I had that truly made me who I am. And my life is what it is today because of the time that I spent at Wells Fargo, without question.
Mhm.
And it's it was just a really special place for me. And I think that if more organizations had leaders like the leaders that I had, that our world would be just a little bit easier to be in.
Hmm.
And if people aren't leaving the workplace dreading coming back the next day, um, like who they are at home is better, how they show up in at the grocery store picking up their kids, just if the place that they're going to spend the majority of their awake time is a better experience, how they live the rest of their life is better. And that's why we work so that we can provide and create a life that we want to live. And if the life that we're living from a work perspective is awful or is hard, um, I don't know. I mean, what are we doing? Right? Like,
So, so let me, so there, I'm going to ask a couple questions here so I understand context because I don't know what went down with Wells Fargo that people said that something was bad. So I need to be brought
oh,
up to speed. So I wouldn't know the negative connotation that anybody has for the narrative that needs to be redone. So call me an idiot. But so I'm going to need to know that. But what I'm hearing you say is that you were there for 23 years and that the situation and environment helped create who you are. And you're very proud of that and who you've become and what you achieved. And it comes down to, I'll put your book up here again, is that there were leaders there that you were connected with and empowered you and whatnot. And they helped create who you are. And also like who you became and why you showed up to work every day. And so these are the mid-level managers that work in an organization that created an environment that made you not want to leave when whatever drama you're just not gonna like let me know about like what went down Funky Town. Like what was the situation? What's the story that people heard that is different from your experience?
see, Trevor, now that I understand that you don't necessarily keep up with the news stories,
You didn't know that?
I
What should I know?
understand how the world in which you live in is full of love and joy and um
Yeah, so it's like, hold on. Do people say bad things about Wells Fargo? It's not a good place. Like, what do people say?
yeah. Well, so
Just what, because you know how much I care about what other
yeah, I
people
know.
say. So let me hear what are other people
Yeah.
saying.
So basically, what it comes down to is there was a lawsuit that Wells Fargo was basically opening accounts for people that were fake accounts,
Okay.
or accounts that weren't being used, and it was as a means to achieve a set of
Yesterday for
goals.
a decade. When did this happen?
Well, it happened in the settlement was announced in 2016.
So there's a settlement. So there's a lawsuit and all this, and like they apparently something did
Oh,
going down Funky Town.
yeah, and Wells Fargo became kind of like the poster child for if you're doing these things in your banks, you need to stop.
Got it.
And
Okay, so some people in Wells Fargo were doing bad things in 2010s, and by
yeah,
2016 there was a settlement
yeah.
of them saying, "Sorry, someone in our organization was screwing people." How close am I?
Yeah, and here's what I'll say. So you can have two branches up the street from each other,
Mhm.
and branch A has a certain leader, not necessarily in the branch, but maybe the district manager or the region president, and then branch B had a completely different region president. And I would say that like the region presidents were pretty much the ones that kind of shaped the how hard is it to come to work and what's kind of that environment going to be. So, for example, my my boss that I worked for many years, David, he would say, "Look, I'm not going to fire you for not making your sales goals, but I will fire you for doing bad things. If you're doing shady things, if you're not doing what's right for the clients, I will fire you for that, but I'm not going to fire you for not making your sales goals." And so that was how I led my people. I'm not going to fire you if you don't make your sales goals. Um, but I will fire you if I find out you're opening accounts and they're not getting funded and you don't have signatures and all those kinds of things, right? So, but if
So he
you have
said,
a
if you're going to lie, cheat, and steal, you're going to get fired. If you're going to try hard, not going to get fired.
correct.
Okay, cool.
Now, though, another region could have been very much invested in exceeding
Sales.
goals
Okay.
that they didn't pay as much attention to the quality of the accounts and the different products and solutions that were being open. So literally, and it could be same city, one branch here, this, and then like
Mhm.
just one street
I get it.
separates, right? And you
I
have a
get it.
totally different environment there. And so that's kind of like the point of the book is that like when you have leaders that are modeling the right kind of behaviors and reinforcing the right behaviors and care about the people more than they care about achieving a sales target. Not that achieving goals and metrics aren't important,
Mhm.
but when you have leaders that care about your people more and you truly feel that and believe that, you do things differently, right? And you show up differently and you care differently. And so because I had those kinds of leaders, I wanted to be that kind of leader. And I wanted to be the kind of leader that created the same desires that I had to not let my boss down. And so, and to me, that happened through the authentic relationships that were created and the true, just like genuine desire to help me achieve my goals, whether that be personally or professionally. And because we were a bank, we talked a lot about what's our financial goals. And oftentimes you're not going to achieve your financial goals if your professional goals aren't being achieved because so much of your livelihood is attached to your work. And
Mhm.
so, in order for us to really kind of understand and what motivates our people, we really focused in on, what are your personal, what are your professional, what are your financial goals? And as your leader, how do I help? How do I support those? And it was that kind of culture and environment that made it a really great place to be, even when
Mhm.
our sales goals were really high and it was really hard and we worked a lot. Um, it was
So
worth it.
let me ask you a question then. So here's what I heard you say this about if you have a leader that you that people will remember or that keeps the culture phenomenal inside the organization, you have a lot of grace because what I grace is the word that you used. And what I heard you saying is you have a lot of grace for the bad things other people did at Wells Fargo for you're probably going to say, well, they probably shouldn't have done that, but you have a lot of grace for Wells Fargo because of the experience you had with the teams you worked with. And so I think that's a really interesting thing because it's a big How many people in Wells Fargo?
I mean, we're less now, but at the time we were like 200,000. And
Yeah,
so,
that's a couple people. That's a couple people. So that sounds amazing.
yeah,
Okay. So now what has been your experience in other organizations and why this is important across the board? Because you saw the differences, I'm guessing, and now you're not, you're doing new things. So
yeah.
and I know you get really impassioned about this because we've talked about it for a while of how important it is. What'd you say? The mission is to make the workplace a better place. What's your
Make
language?
work a better place for everyone.
Make work a better place for everyone. I love that seal that we made that was like a
I know.
circle and it was a better place inside of it. We should find that. I should have
Yeah.
asked you for that. So make the workplace a better place for everyone.
Make work a better place for everyone.
Make work, good God, make work a better place for everyone. I need the seal. I'll draw it out for everybody. But yeah, so what are you seeing that is in the workplace now that you're not a fan of?
Yeah. So, here, okay. So when I first started, so Wells Fargo was the only place I really ever worked at.
Okay.
Um, so I had nothing to really compare it to. I mean, I worked at McDonald's for like 6 months when I was in high school, but that was it. And so as I started going into the more local businesses, a couple things. So the first thing is that oftentimes when you have a small business and it's not a multi-location, it's let's just say it's a mental health clinic or a nonprofit or some location where it's kind of its own individual entity. Um, you have a business owner who has a great idea, who created a great product, has a great service, whatever that may be, but they may not necessarily know how to run a team, how to effectively engage a team in a way where their employees, their team members are really clear on what's expected of them, really clear on what they're being measured for, and is in alignment with why they're doing what they're doing. And so as a business owner, if all you're focused in on is profits and you're not interested in the environment in which your people are experiencing in order to help you achieve those profits, your people aren't going to stay. They're not going to be very effective. And the clarity of expectations, the misalignment there has been one of the most surprising things to me.
Hmm.
So Gallup does a poll, or they do a survey, and Wells Fargo used Gallup survey for many years, where the very first, it was their Q12 survey. And the very first question is, I know what's expected of me at work. Now, at Wells Fargo, that was one of our highest questions every single year. It was very clear what was expected of us at work.
Hmm.
Early on, we had a report that would update every day that told us if we're on track, if we're not on track, and we kind of lived by that. And that was
Hmm.
part of our challenge is we were such an outcomes-based organization that the leaders just took it too far. Some leaders took it too far. But it was very clear. Am I achieving my goals? Am I not achieving my goals? Am I delivering? Am I not delivering?
Hmm.
And the lack of clarity around that ambiguity, the uncertainty of, am I delivering for my boss? Am I meeting the expectations that my boss has for me? Creates a lot of anxiety. And that lack of clarity is, it's, I don't want to say it's simple to solve for, because there is some nuances in getting alignment on what success looks like and how, and let's make sure that you and I, as the leader and the employee, both understand that when you do this activity, here's the goal, here's the metric or whatever that is that we are measuring to know if you're being effective or not. And when you go home at the end of the day, as your leader, I may not always be able to say, hey, you did an awesome job today, or thank you for the ABC, but I want you to know that you achieved the objectives that you had today because by far, people want to know that they're doing good work. They don't want to leave at the end of the day thinking, oh, I sucked today. They want to go home knowing that what they did today mattered, that they had an impact on the organization, on the mission, on the customers. And so the misalignment there of, I know it's expected of me at work every day. I know that what my boss is looking for from me. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know the impact that it's intended to have. If your people can say yes to all those things, if they can be confident in all those things, their satisfaction with what they're doing every day is going to be much higher. And that disconnect has been a huge gap of what I've been seeing in the workplaces, mostly because they don't have the leadership program. Hi, Sage. They don't have the leadership program and training that the big organizations, the Wells Fargos, the Best Buys of the world. The smaller businesses just don't have that. And so you have a business owner who has a great product or service, but may not necessarily have the skills or tools to help your people understand that this is what they're trying to achieve. This is why they're doing it. This is how we know you're successful, and that's what I come in and help business owners and leaders figure out. So, one of the questions that you ask is, who are we? Who do I want to serve? Who do I want to help? And my passion is with the frontline employees, and so the leaders that are directly impacting the people doing the work, the ones that are coming in every day, whether it's answering phones, talking, whatever it is, the people who are physically doing the work that the organization needs to have done in order to be successful. Those are the leaders of those teams are the people that I want to be working with and partnering with, because they're the ones that tend to be truly the lowest paid in the organization, and the ones that have the hardest jobs interacting with clients. She's adorable.
And you can see her right over my shoulder. She's trying to make her appearance. So I've taken some notes. I want to talk to you about a few things, and I know that kid's going to interrupt here in a second. Yes, Sage, come here, please. You didn't bring your book, by the way, but yes. Again, a live podcast. You are interrupting. This is your last opportunity to go ahead and tell everybody what you need that's so important. Let's hear it. It is.
I just want to tell you.
You just want to tell me? You want to tell everybody? Okay, hold on. Okay, what is it?
So Mary here, she's helping me do my checklist, and we want sweets.
You want sweets?
No, sweet seltzer.
Yes, you may have one.
And Mary Ellen's allowed to have some.
Okay. She needed a sweet seltzer.
I get it.
Okay, real important. So what started this question for me is, I know that you said that your experience inside of Wells Fargo was what it was, and how leaders made the difference in the culture and the environment, and you feeling happy with where you worked for over 2 decades. And then when you went out into the marketplace, you saw the misalignment that many companies have, where people don't even understand the expectations that their management wants for them. And you're seeing that misalignment is such a gross error. What I also heard you say, and I was drawing a little bit while, because I'm trying to remember the seal that we made. Was it like make work a better place? Huh?
That's pretty close.
That's not bad.
Pretty close to
I
it.
think it looked better when we had ChatGPT make it.
Yeah.
But so then, and what I liked about this is that your passion for what you're doing, because I pulled this out of you and we had a longer conversation the other day, was make work a better place for everyone. Is, to me, this calls out, let's say that I'm the business owner. I mentioned this to you. I'm like, well, I already think my workplace is amazing, right? I have little kids that run in. I have a team, a few people that work with me virtually and whatnot, but it's making it a better place for everyone. Calls me out a little bit of like, hold on, but is it a great workplace for everyone? And I like it because it's an embedded challenge for me personally. Like, okay, well, is it? And like, if that's your mission, I like that it's something that you can stand for and like people could measure to a certain degree. So if I was to ask you about the dream that you have of making work a better place for everyone, how would you measure that? Whether that's long-term or short-term for you. Because what I also want to do is challenge you to cast a vision of like, this is what you're going to try to do, build and create, whatever that is. And if we can understand what that is, I want to go ahead and have you, this is my version of make it rain. Because I'm like, okay, Autumn, like, what does it mean for you to create the abundance and the relationships and the mission that you have? Like, what does that need to look like so we can count it, measure it, quantify it, and then invite you back so we can celebrate this damn thing?
Okay. So, well, what I want to come back and talk about is being a best-selling author for the first time.
Yeah.
So, my book launches on September 29th, pre-launch, so pre-orders. And so my goal would be to be a best-selling author on that day. So please get on the wait list.
Okay. Hold on. Q waitlist. Go to peoplepossibility.com. I think we're going to need to put /book there. So peoplepossibility.com. Or if I'm, let me see if I
And a
can
QR
control
code
this.
too.
I do have the QR code. So you can use this QR code, join the wait list. We'll make sure we put that and the right links in the description and things of this when we edit this episode and make it awesome. But I know we're live right now, I think on LinkedIn and YouTube. So hi, LinkedIn, YouTube. There's got to be at least 1.5 people paying attention right now. Um, so Autumn, awesome. So you being a number one bestseller for the first time would be awesome. And the date is September 29th. Okay. So if they join the wait list, what else are they going to get from you if they join the wait list? Does that mean that they get a copy of your book, or like what is there some kind of coolness that you're giving them?
Yeah, so when they join the wait list, they can sign up for a free coaching session with me. And then when you actually purchase the book, they're on the day of the 29th. So there'll be an assessment, that kind of a leadership assessment, just answering some of the questions that to me help shape a workplace where people want to be, where they feel cared about. And so it'll help give leaders an idea of kind of where they land and if there's some value in maybe assessing the kind of workplace that they're creating so that they can make it better for everyone. And the other way that I think, as I'm working with clients, not think, I know, as I'm working with clients, the I want the business owner to be really proud of what it is they're creating. And the when your people come to work every day and they're successful, it helps make their life outside of work successful. And I know for you that that's really important. You're a very mission-driven individual that cares. You deeply care about the people that you're working with and that you serve. And I want to believe that that's the case for most business owners. Being a business owner isn't easy. And so if you're going to create a place where you actually have team members and employees, like I want to work with the ones that truly care about helping their people be successful. And so when that happens, the way you measure that is how long are their people staying there and working?
Mm,
Um, and then how profitable is the business, right? Like we're not just doing this to make it a place where people like to come hang out. We're doing this so that as the business owner is successful, hopefully that business owner is investing back in their people, whether that be through bonuses, whether it be through promotions, or whatever matters to that particular team member. And so, the way you measure this is truly how successful and sustainable is the organization? How committed are your people? How long are they staying there? How often do you have call outs? How often do people just quit? Do you know why they're quitting? Right? Like all of those factors are able to be measured to know, are you creating an environment where your people truly want to be? And that doesn't mean that everybody's a perfect fit. And that's the other part of what is really important as a leader is if you have somebody that's not a good fit for your organization, how are you helping identify that? How are you helping them understand that? And then helping them find a place where they do want to be? Because like I can't overstate how we spend the majority of our awake time working. And if we can make that better, like people just are kinder to each other and they show up differently in the world. And I saw a quote that we spend like 90,000 hours of our life working.
yeah.
Like we kind of owe it to each other to make that as enjoyable as possible. And so that's what I want to do. And, the last thing I'll say about this of like my passion behind it and the why, um, two things. First, I am them. I started as a teller doing the work. I was in the branches for 11 years before I became a district manager. And so I know what that is. I know what it means to show up to work every day when you may not want to, or when it's hard, and when there's things going on personally. And I just have a true understanding of how hard that is. And um, if the people around you care about you, it makes it a little bit easier. And then the second thing I'll say is that so many people have to work until they're into their 60s and 70s and maybe even longer from in order to be able to retire. And I'll take my mom, for example. So my mom is 75. She retired a little over 5 years ago, and she just recently got diagnosed with dementia. And I don't want anybody to have to work for the majority of their life to get 5 years of true freedom to be able to spend their time the way that they want to. And that's where I think just making work better. Um, it makes it sting a little less if, you only get 5 years before you are in a place where you're not really, I don't know, free to live the way you want to live.
Yeah.
So, and that's such a common story these days that people are working into their 60s and 70s, or they're retiring and they're not able to stay retired and they have to come back to work. And um I don't know. I just think that it's easy to look at organizations and see the people at the top and how much money they're making, and you forget about all the people that are doing the work to help those people achieve that money. And if we can't give them the employee, which I can get into a whole podcast. I mean, we could talk about how people need to be paid more and work less and all that kind of stuff, but as business owners, as leaders in organizations, you're making more money than your people doing the work. Like, you are. And so, how do you make up for that in a way that honors the effort and energy and commitment that your people are bringing every day? Because if they don't show up, your business doesn't exist,
Yeah.
right? So there's just I think that there's opportunity in the world to honor the fact that people are just showing up, and that you as a leader, you're like 70% of their experience. And so if leaders have that much of an impact on the experience that their people have, let's honor that. And let's figure out how we build relationships where there's a true, authentic caring for each other, and how we interact together.
You're tying back to what you said at the beginning of the when we started talking, that when you started with Wells Fargo, or your a long time that you were there, you were working with some of the lowest paid people in the company, but they were the ones that were the initial front facing face for what was going on inside the company. And it's something that I pivoted inside of my business, was to think of everybody in the employee, everyone on my team, as being a rainmaker. Now, this is an identity that I'm trying to embrace right now. So I think everybody's a rainmaker. Um, but what I also was realizing is I have front facing people on my team that aren't the highest paid, but they're the most important people in the organization. They're the first point of contact, like you just mentioned. So to give them an identity of something that represents what that is. So that's, like I said, like, I'm a rainmaker, you're a rainmaker, so is everybody on my team, so is everybody listening right now. So that's the word I'm using for that. But when I have these specific people for me, again, I gave a slightly different name for the people at the front line,
Yeah.
is a trailblazer. Now, I don't know if this is exactly accurate, but my understanding of a trailblazer is they're the dude or the gal that goes first, and they're the ones that are making uh the first impression with the enemy, or with they're the whatever. So
Right.
I see that trailblazer, that person, as the most important person in our organization. Now, I don't know, that maybe my wife is the most important person in the organization, or some manager, or staff, or whatever. But I mean, you don't have a customer if the person who's facing with them is giving a bad impression. And so I thought that was beautiful. And you kind of tied back to that here at the end when you said how important it is that the team of people that are connecting with your audience are the ones that are honored for that. And it sounds like appreciated from your perspective, so that they feel like did you say that their work matters? Did you say that? That they feel like their work matters and that they matter in the organization?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really powerful. So we're going to have you back after you achieve #1 bestseller status in your book, which is just a few weeks away, or a couple weeks away. Are there other wins that you would like to celebrate here? And we're pre-celebrating. You're like calling
Yeah.
your shot. You're like, hey, this is where what I believe in and what I want to have happen. Because I want you to come back with other quantifiable things
Yeah.
that we can celebrate, and so that I can outline like, okay, what did you do to make those things happen? So what would be other wins that you would want to celebrate?
Yeah. So, I am speaking at a conference in October, right after my book launches. So, I'm excited to, kind of get out and tell a little bit of this, my story and help shape. And that's actually a National Funeral Directors Association, which is so interesting. How this connection came about. But I love to, and again, it's people that are interacting with clients that are having really important things happening in their lives, right? And I like to be in front of organizations that are mission driven and impact driven, to connect and motivate and help give them the tools so that they can be the most successful leader that they can be for their people, and show up in ways that their people are really proud to work for them. So I'm definitely looking for more opportunities to speak and to give some workshops or masterclass type things. Um, and I am taking clients right now. So if there's an organization that is interested in having like an assessment of how are we doing, what kind of experience are we creating in the workplace right now, and it could be great. There could already be a great environment and culture, and maybe they want to take it up a notch. Maybe they're growing and they're going to be adding people on. Every time you add an employee to your organization, the culture kind of shifts. And so, if there's a business owner or a leader that is interested in really truly getting into what do my people feel, how do they, how connected are they to what it is we're trying to achieve there, and they want to tighten that up a little and just make it really, really clear of the impact that they want to have, and the sustainability of the environment that they're creating. I'd love to meet those people. And the last thing I would say, I'm always, 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 I love to talk to people and leaders that are leading the front line. It's, there's this narrative that the younger generation doesn't want to work. And I just completely I disagree, because you'll see the younger people in the workplace that are hustling on the weekends, selling whatever it is that they're making. So it's not that they don't want to work, it's that they don't want to work for you. And, and so like, how do we meet people where they are so that they feel good about the work that they're doing? And so I'm always open to talking with leaders that because I want to learn. I want to make sure that I'm kind of staying sharp and fresh, and understanding what is the kind of challenges that the younger people are facing. And there's a lot of people that are coming back to the workplace, a lot of people that are maybe in the older generations that are coming back to work, and how do we engage them in a way? And so the multi-generational workplace is a huge thing right now. And um, I just want to help people figure that out and navigate that in a way where people go home at the end of the day feeling good about how they spent the last 8 hours of their life.
Well, what I heard you say was a few different things. I've got my amazing seal for your mission here. Make work a better place for everyone. That artwork is just fantastic. And then I wrote down a couple things on the who you're looking to connect with and who can help you with your mission. And what I heard was a mission. You can see my chicken scratch here. A mission driven leader who is working on the front line. So, a front line mission driven leader. And you're very hungry. I'm going to put very and hungry there to hear from and talk to the frontline leaders who are working with maybe a newer generation that oftentimes gets a bad name, or maybe a maturing generation that is going to be coming in and coming back to the workplace. So you're looking for those frontline leaders because those are the ones that you feel like you can impact. And if I pull up your book here again, it says a mid-level leader's guide to empowering people and profit. Now, I know we talked about this the other day. People and profit here are key. And you said one of the measures that people would have is that how long are people sticking around your organization? I think that's a pretty good one. And then is your company and your business growing? And you can measure this on profitability. Good for the business owner. You had also said that this book is not just for mid-level leaders, it's for anyone. And you start, well, anyone who is a leader. And you talked about that just a bit. So give me just another insight into who this book is really for, who you're looking to connect with, who might want to join the waitlist to get this doggone book. Again, you can go to this website, peoplepossibility.com, join the waitlist, and I have a different QR code for you in a second while you're talking so people can go
Yeah.
there. And I think we'll have it at peoplepossibility.com/book by the time we edit this show. But the QR code will work now. So go ahead, Autumn.
Okay. So he, so who do I really want
Yeah.
to talk with? Who do I want to serve?
Let's say you're interviewing people because I'm a big fan of you interviewing and learning
Yeah.
from and like having that be the documentation. So who do you want to interview?
Yeah, I want to interview the leaders of the teams that are doing the work. I would also love to do some joint interviews where I have a leader and one of their employees because I think that
Mm.
like having somebody that is doing the work help inform the leader of what's happening, how they're creating things in the workplace is really powerful. Collaborating with the people doing the work gets so much more of their buy-in. And so having them be part of these conversations would also be really lovely. But truly the book is for any leader that cares about their people and is in a position that they know that their decisions and how they show up and interact with people impact them and impact the experience that those people are having. And if you're a leader that cares about that, this book's for you. There'll be a lot of really personal stories of things that I experienced. A lot of this is the leaders who shaped me, influenced me, and the things that I learned along the way. So certainly there'll be things that I didn't do well that still I can still think about and like have like, oh, it just eats me up inside. And then there'll be some things that I felt like I was really proud of how I handled certain situations that were hard or challenging. And so this is not a like, here's a theory about leadership. This is it's really about how we make people feel and the relationships that were shaped for me along the way and the impact that they had on me. And so there'll be a lot of stories, there'll be a lot of impact on the person that I am and how I want to show up in the world and the people that help make that happen.
So I've got mission driven, I've got frontline leaders, and you're talking about a caring, mission driven leader. Uh, Sounds to me, and I'm going to put some words in your mouth. I don't know if this is going to be accurate, but you're looking to interview some of the most successful leaders in the world. And here's why I say that. Not just in the world, maybe in the workplace or really successful leaders or and people who care. My guess is they're already phenomenal freaking leaders, which is why I say that. And I want you to attract the most successful, cool people to learn from and maybe their teams so that you get to have like a joint interview process. And what I like about what you were saying is that you've got an assessment process. So if people who sign up to get your book are going to get a leadership assessment so they can understand what kind of leader they are. And if I heard you correctly, you've got an assessment for the culture or the company, the business as well, so they can see how they're scaling up. And so those are beautiful gifts to give people because now I have an understanding of where I fit in that criteria. And what I have found is people who are interested in a subject, like let's say that I'm interested in influence or sales or whatever that thing is. Guess what I'm going to go study? more things about influence and sales and communication. And so I think you're looking for great, phenomenal leaders. And guess what? They probably run phenomenal organizations. And a phenomenal organization got that way because they tried to make it better and better and better. So I think as much as we want to talk about the pain and the problem and the fear and the challenges that are going on, I think the people that you're most looking to connect with are those that understand that, see the vision, and then you can just help them create even more abundance. Correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe you have a different vision of who you're looking to connect with and lead, but what do you think?
Yeah. No, I would, that's accurate, right? Because those are the leaders that care. They care about the experience
Yeah.
they already care about the experience they're creating for their people. And that's really the most important part is that it matters to you. And if it matters to you,
Yeah.
then you make decisions in a way that you recognize the potential outcomes and how that's going to impact your people. And those are the people that those are my people.
You know what? It's this might be another way of looking at it. It's for leaders who care.
Hmm.
Because I see mid-level leaders, empowering people in profit is awesome. Our the seal that we came up with make work a better place for everyone. But for leaders who care, I
Yeah.
always like to come up with the simplest way to describe who you're looking for and what things are. Um, and the
Yeah.
weird thing about this for me, Autumn, I don't see the world. I see everybody as being that, quite frankly. And I maybe it's just the rose-colored glasses I have on, but I don't interact with a lot of assholes.
Yeah.
I don't interact with a lot of people that don't care. So I just see, I mean, I tend to attract awesome, cool people who and then get more awesome, cool people. So at any rate, if you're a leader who cares, make sure you sign up for Autumn's wait list and scan the QR code or go to peoplepossibility.com/book to get the join the wait list, get your own leadership assessment, have the business assessment that she has for you as well. I guess that's another thing you can lead them to. And Autumn, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up and take it home?
No, just thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, Trevor. Actually, here's what I will say.
Yeah.
If you're interested in writing a book and you're not quite sure how this book fits into your life and the business or the world that you're trying to create, have a conversation with Trevor. He's a riot and he's fun to work with and he's got super cool kids that interrupt us all the time, which is lovely. Little unicorns popping in and who doesn't love a unicorn?
Twice isn't that bad. That certainly have been worse than that. So Autumn, thank you for being here. Thank you
Yeah.
for your patience. Let me share another part of this journey I think that people would be valuable to know, and this will be your personal experience or a little piece of it. Autumn and I met a few months ago. I don't know. Now it seems it's probably closer to 8 or 9 now. And I know that there was a journey that you had at the beginning of what this book was going to be about and how you're going to help people. And it goes through different iterations. And one of the things that I mean, I believe we're just one person away from making all of our dreams come true. Like, I don't know. Like, let's say that you like Oprah and she was to just like meet you, be buddies, and like whatever. Like, I'm sure she can probably make it rain for you. So that's why I always want to know who you want to connect with because I feel like we're just one connection away. That's why I'm like, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to connect with? Who are you trying to help and serve, so that people can make that recommendation? And it's hard to do things that matter and change the world. So you've had these ups and downs with your journey of finding the messaging that you wanted, what the title of your book was going to be, who you're going to help and work with. I know that you're experiencing some frustration with some of the people that I don't connect with that often, the businesses or the people that maybe aren't the leaders that you wanted to help. But like one of the powerful things about this is that like is not doing it alone
Yeah.
and how helpful it is to have in this case like I'm pretty good at the publishing thing because we've been doing it for 10 years but like to help you find your voice and not being alone with trying to figure that out all on your own. So can you talk to that just a little bit for anybody who's looking to grow their authority, their impact, and like the value that you've seen of being part of like the epic author community that has helped you find your voice and your passion? Because I know for me, this was very hard and can be. What has been your journey, and what would you recommend for people who are trying to become an author, create thought leadership around something, and whether they should do that alone or with a group, and why?
Yeah. So a couple things I'll say is when you are, if you haven't already written the book and you think that you want to write a book, under like, and Trevor talked about this early on, and we have group sessions where like who is your audience? I it's when you are building a business, you want to say everybody. And there's this like, who's your niche and niche, what, all and um to a certain degree, you're like, well, I'll work with anybody
Yeah.
because I'm building, I'm just starting or whatever the case may be. And having a book has helped me get clearer and clearer on who it is that I'm truly building this business for. And that's where the dialogue back and forth, the group coaching sessions that we have, listening to Trevor talk to other people and kind of where, because everybody's at a different place in their book and in their business. And so it just hearing the coaching that happens between you and other people has been really helpful. The other thing is when your business is maybe you're not growing, you're not getting clients like you wanted to, when you have something specific that you're working on. So Trevor has a kind of a 90-day challenge and go interview people so that you're getting content and research for your book. It helps you feel like you're making progress. And for me, when I wasn't necessarily getting clients right away, or I felt like, God, I'm talking to everybody, and what I'm trying to sell is a little bit more pie in the sky, kind of fluffy, because it's not HR, it's not marketing, it's a little different. It's easy to feel like you're not making progress and you're not moving your business along. But every call I got on, every interaction that we had, every coaching session was part of it. And every interview I had, and I got to tell you, like I was so blown away of the people that would be agreed to be interviewed. It was kind of random. I'd just be reaching out to people that kind of fit a target for me. And I had people all over the country that I'd never met agreed to meet with me. And I mentioned this earlier, like I think that part of why we're here is to connect and build community and to learn from each other. And so I had people in Canada and New Jersey and Florida, and I mean just all over the country agree to meet with me.
Yeah.
And as somebody that wants to be connected to other people, that was really valuable. So it helped me feel like I was making progress. It helped me get clear on who it is that I'm trying to serve and why am I doing this? Like, why am I going to put the time and effort into creating something that doesn't, yes, I mean, yes, you can make money from a book, I guess, but like it's really about I want people to know a little bit more about me so that they want to work with me, so that they see that here's the kind of person you're going to get when you work with me. And if I can put something out in the world that helps make that a little bit clearer for people, then that's what I want. And so this whole process has been, yes, the book, but the book is really about getting clear on what it is you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to do it for and the impact that you want to have. So, and when you feel like you're not growing, like I said, knowing that you're meeting with 3 or 4 people a day to have an interview, that's important. Like that in and of itself is making the world a little more connected and a little bit smaller, and you're learning and growing from those things. And so, truly, and I don't say this lightly, it has been like the thing that I've been working on for the last year, and kind of navigating this solopreneur is lonely and it's hard, and there's a lot of doubt that comes in the process. And Trevor, your pie in the sky, rose-colored lenses is encouraging, and you help people believe in themselves and that what we're doing is gonna have the impact that we're trying to achieve. So having somebody believe in you is important.
Well, I was just fishing for compliments is what I was doing, but what I not exactly what I'm hearing you say, and it's been an honor for a decade to help people with this, but what I heard you say was there's a lot of people that you've connected with in this journey that you wouldn't have if we hadn't gone through this process together, which was quite frankly an announcement that you were going to start the book. And I'll put up your book here again real quickly. Hold on, that's the waiting list. Um, this book isn't finished. This is the pre-launch of this book. This book, the momentum that you've made from all of the people that you've connected with, and they could have been associated to Epic Author or the people that you were interviewing and connecting with, helped you find your voice because you were looking for how do I articulate things in such a way that I have, and I'll do an alliteration here, a market to message match with what you're trying to say. And so that sounds like a lot of M's, but like the market is who you're trying to connect with and help. And like I just learning things about you today, like, oh, I want to work with leaders who care. I'm like, okay, well, that's one way to now that's if somebody's listening right now and they're like, well, I'm a leader who cares, then Autumn wants to connect with you. Then this would be, you'd be the type of person that she would want to interview you and your front level team and connect. And this is, could you imagine doing this in the dark? Without this interaction, this engagement, the conversations, the help and support. And I find the most challenging thing that most of us have to face is we're doing all of this without help. Because as soon as this camera's off, I'm like in my house, and I got to deal with all of the crap that I got to deal with personally and professionally. So it's been a joy to be part of your journey, but you're the one that actually you had to poke your nose in here each time to go ahead and plug in, and you had to say, hey, you had to be vulnerable and say, I'm looking to connect with an interview and talk to people, and then challenge your preconceptions
Mhm.
about what you were saying and did it make any sense and whatnot. So it's such a beautiful thing to do, to craft a message that you're actually testing in the marketplace. And what I want you to do is cast this vision of this is what you're trying to create. We all get to be part of the journey. So join the Damn Ass wait list so that you can, see Autumn's progression. And if you pre-order this book, I think we're going to sell it for $1. When this comes out in a couple of weeks, you'll get a pre-order of the book, the assessment, maybe a cultural and company assessment as well. And you can become part of the story, part of the success story for leaders who care, who are mission driven. And Autumn, it's always beautiful to connect with you. I've really complimented you a lot in the past. Now this is my opportunity to compliment you online live. So if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere else you're watching this, thank you for being here. Make sure you go to jointrevor.com and you can join us live for some of our podcasts. And so we've got other live broadcasts that are there. I think we might have someone in the waiting room right now. I don't know. I need to just double check. So before we sign off, Autumn, I'm going to test if we have anybody in the waiting room. I know we did to start this. So
Mhm.
Dragon, let me see if they're here. Let me see if there's any more.
Dragon dropped off.
Dragon dropped off. Okay, so we're not going
Yeah.
to be able to do that today. It'll happen in the future, though. I can't wait for you to go to jointrevor.com so you can check out our next live episode. You won't be able to talk to Autumn until she comes back to celebrate all of her wins. So, last little message from you before we wrap things up, Autumn.
Just go get on the wait list so that I can become a best-selling author and Trevor will have me back on the podcast.
I can't wait to make that happen. Check out peoplepossibility.com/ you're awesome or book or whatever it is. And hold on, one more chance to scan the QR code. And Autumn, can't wait to see your bestseller here real soon. Mm, Um, Thank you for being here. Oh, and Len, since we're probably still on the live broadcast, let's say bye. Bye, live broadcast
Bye, guys.
people. We'll get better at this. Thank you for your patience. And Autumn, great having you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.
Fun.